Summertime herd health, we focus on bloat and lots of dollars going towards low methane emitting livestock. Crew, let's ranch it up. Good day, everyone, and thanks for riding with us on this all-new episode of the Ranch It Up Radio Show. I'm Jeff Tigger Erhardt. A big thank you goes out to our partners, RanchChannel.com, Wolf Cattle, Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Transova Genetics, Axiota Animal Health, bringing us Multimin and Lactopro, the American Gelbvieh Association, Imogene Ingredients, bringing us Farmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, the Tri-State Livestock News, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. Cow Country News, you know, the cow stuff. All right, we're going to dive right into this one. Social media has been blowing up about the $4.85 million grant that the American Angus Association received from the Bezos Earth Fund and the Global Methane Hub as part of a larger initiative to reduce methane emissions in livestock. Now, I've seen a lot of things blow up on social media, but this one has taken the cake. I mean, there is miles and miles and miles of comments, and I have received numerous phone calls on this topic. Here is the breakdown. Billionaire Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon and one of the world's wealthiest individuals with a net worth exceeding $190 billion, is now turning his attention to livestock production. Through the Bezos Earth Fund, a $10 billion climate-focused initiative he launched back in 2020, Bezos is investing in projects designated to reduce methane emissions in cattle. Now, methane, according to climate scientists, say is over 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide over the next 20-year period. Now, to address this, Bezos and the Global Methane Fund have jointly launched a $27.4 million initiative aimed at breeding low methane emitting cattle and developing technologies to curb livestock emissions globally. Here is the complete breakdown of that $27.4 million. $8.7 million for low-emission dairy breeding in Holstein, Jersey, Brown, Swiss, and Red breeds led by a university in the Netherlands. $8.1 million towards research at universities in Uruguay and Australia and for rumen microbiome analysis. $4.85 million to the Angus Foundation to integrate low methane traits into beef cattle breeding programs across North America, Oceania, and Europe. $3.35 million to support methane-efficient breeding in indigenous African cattle populations, and $2.34 million to the University of Nebraska to research methane reduction in commercial and crossbred beef cattle herds. Now, according to this initiative, they seek to reduce emissions without requiring producers to drastically change how they feed or manage livestock. Instead, the focus is on genetic selection and scientific innovation, including vaccine development and even virtual fencing technology. Now, it is important to note, listen to this, that the U.S. cattle industry is valued at $89 billion. That, according to the NCBA, $89 billion. That's less than half of Bezos' personal wealth. And his entry into this space is what is causing many to be concerned. Now, I am going to be following this as much as I possibly can, and I'm going to be reaching out to a number of individuals to get reactions and find out a little bit more of why the acceptance of these grant dollars. Now, in other news, the World Organization for Animal Health this week declared Brazil to be free of foot and mouth disease without vaccination, which opens more markets to a major export competitor to the U.S. beef industry. From now on, Brazil will be able to reach markets that were previously closed to the country and offer higher prices. Brazil is the world's second largest producer of beef behind the United States and the global leader in exports. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association, or NCBA, has been critical of Brazil's compliance with sanitary and animal disease standards, and they're encouraging the USDA to suspend imports of beef from Brazil until a thorough audit can be conducted to verify Brazil's claims of providing an equivalent level of food safety and animal health. And Sustainable Beef officially began operations last week at its $325 million beef processing facility in North Platte, Nebraska, marking a major milestone for the producer-owned company that aims to modernize beef production in the region. The facility plans to ramp up gradually to 1,500 head per day and employ right around 850 people by the end of the year. All right, crew, we're going to head into our first commercial break, and here's what we got coming up yet on this episode, number 240 of the Ranch It Up radio show. Of course, we're going to talk with Kirk Donsbach from StoneX Financial Incorporated, recapping the markets from last week. We've got updates of hay and cattle sales. Pay attention to that one. Mark Vanzie's jumping on with LivestockMarket.com. And in terms of summer herd health, we're focusing this week on bloat. I know a number of you are still grazing on wheat pasture before the harvest begins. In fact, I heard from a producer earlier in the week from Texas that said he was buzzing around and still saw some cattle grazing on some wheat that was starting to head out. So this week we're focusing on bloat. I know a number of people battle bloat that are grazing wheat pasture cattle, and even those individuals that are grazing alfalfa. We have tried that a few times as well, but one of the big things we needed to always watch out for and battle was bloat. And if you're grazing cattle, that's one of the things that you're going to be battling. And we're focusing on a product that you've heard me talk about before, about feeding to the cows 90 days prior to calving to prevent scours and coccidia. Now we're going to discuss how it's been used to battle bloat. You're listening to the Ranch It Up radio show, and we'll be back right after this.
LivestockMarket.com. We hear from the crew at LivestockMarket.com every week. Bulls, cows, bred heifers, open replacement heifers, cow-calf pairs, feeders, and stockers, horses, pigs, goats, sheep, show stock, hay and straw, and even alpacas, all listed on LivestockMarket.com. Private treaty, online auctions, and on-site auctions. Buying or selling, gauge the market, do some research. Check out LivestockMarket.com.
And don't forget, they brought you AuctionTime.com and EquineMarket.com.
RanchChannel.com. I'll give you just a few seconds to head there on your phone. RanchChannel.com. Your farm and ranch network on demand. Bull sales, Western events, product information, right at your fingertips on the ultimate cowboy-friendly platform. Want to follow up-to-date markets? RanchChannel.com. No need to dig for information on all these different websites. It's all right there on RanchChannel.com. Y'all are loving it now, aren't you?
We run a lot of high milk-producing mama cows in our herd.
Mitch Kenobi of Norfolk dealt with scours in his herd.
So bad that we sent samples off to South Dakota State and Kansas State. Heard about Farmatan. As a producer, I know it's our job to limit our inputs, but when it comes to Farmatan, Dad and I don't blink an eye. It is a must for every calving season.
Adding Farmatan to your livestock's nutrition this fall will rid your new herd of scours in the spring. Go to FarmatanUSA.com. Call Joe Knopp at 340-3323.
Cattle Battle.
Welcome back to the Ranch It Up radio show, the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find. It's your All Things Ranching newscast, and so glad to be hanging out with each and every one of you for 240 episodes. That's what we're on. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, it doesn't matter. Give us a call or text at 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420. Our email is ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Make sure you have show in there, ranchitupshow@gmail.com, and prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. Our series on summertime herd health continues. Today we're talking about bloat. Now, if you're grazing wheat pasture cattle, maybe grazing alfalfa, we've done that a number of times. That's interesting. Or just grazing in general, bloat can devastate a herd in record time. We know that. There are many different ways and various products out there. So today we're going to focus and highlight on one of those products, Farmatan. Yep, y'all heard me correctly on that one, Farmatan. Normally, we talk about using Farmatan 90 days prior to calving to prevent scours and coccidiosis in calves, right? Well, today we're talking about using it to fight bloat. Joining us is Joe Knopp, Key Account Manager for Imogene Ingredients, who brings us Farmatan. Joe, thanks for coming on the show. Tell us about this bloat situation in Texas that you ran into and how you used Farmatan.
Well, I had a gentleman from Cheyenne, Wyoming call, ordering product for himself, some liquid Farmatan. And I told him what all we could do. And then after we got all the particulars out of the way, he said, "You need to call my buddy in Texas. He's having cattle bloat." I said, "Okay, how many head does he got?" "I'll give him a call." Well, I called the gentleman, and he said he had 10,000 cows, and that's about how many 6-weight cattle they had out on wheat pasture. So we went down there, and the day they put it in, the cattle quit bloating. We were going a gallon of our Farmatan liquid to 400 gallon of water.
You were just applying it right to the water is what you were doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, because the water, with what we were working on, the water just is so much quicker as far as the availability of it. So anyway, we got called down there and we put in a gallon of our Farmatan liquid to 400 gallon of water. We were putting it right out on the pasture. The cattle were grazing wheat, and we put it right out in the pasture. And basically what we're doing is it slows down the digestion of the feed, and it dissolves. You get a big foam mat. Once you get that rumen, it starts backing up. You get a foam mat in there, and then it just continues to ferment. And as you know, the rumen is a fermentation vat, so it just got hotter and hotter. And literally, these guys were losing animals. And we put this Farmatan liquid in there, and that's all we did. And it changed everything.
And
it changed everything.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there, Joe, but wheat pasture cattle, is that what you said these were grazing on?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they were all out on wheat. They had, oh my gosh, between 9,000 and 10,000 cattle grazing wheat.
Many times that we've talked about problem situations and going and using Farmatan. And of course, we have to say it's on a case-by-case basis. And also we need to say you need to visit with Joe, you need to visit with the Pauls and talk about your situation. And of course, results aren't guaranteed. We got to say that as well. But however, it seems so many times that we've had these discussions, it's been based on an existing problem. So let's talk about preventative care for a little bit. Like these guys down in Texas, and you said you were adding it to their water. Are they continuing to use Farmatan and everything that they're doing, and they're now trying to get ahead of the problem to be proactive instead of reactive?
Yes, they are. And I have to tell you this because from my point of view, $3 meat. Okay, we got $3 meat going across the counter. I told them, Tigger, when they put it in, I said, guys, be ready for this, because when you get an animal to drink more, they will eat more. I was down there last week for 4 days. The cattle that are supposed to be weighing 795 to 800 coming off the wheat are weighing 865 and 870.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. So they are seeing what we've done. So now, yeah, to go to your preventative, we're working to go through the dry feed into the feed yard. We're going to start going on the receiving cattle. We're trying to get everything in place to set up a water program for the first 10 days, leave the Farmatan in the water, but get it in the receiving ration, get it in those rations.
Joe, I know that you said that you used Farmatan in a liquid form in Texas, but now thinking of the future and ease of using the product, even easier, what about in like a block format, like salt blocks that we can just throw out there and, that cow, she can manage herself the amount of intake that she needs?
We have, man, you've been reading our mail. We are putting it in. I know there's a company called C90 Agri-Minerals. We're already in their blocks. They make a 40-pound block that is working very well for us. We are making blocks for this certain operation I'm telling you about. We put it together with the block maker, and we are making a semi-loaded block. So yeah, you want a block with the Farmatan, okay, a certain number of blocks, or we put it in the mineral. But yes, sir, we have the lick tubs, which we've talked in the past. But we do have a good mineral block with the Farmatan in it. Consumption is not a problem. We spend a lot of time with the right people to get our consumption right.
kind of going forward, is it, and I know it's an army of just a few of you with Farmatan. It's slowly growing, and you work on a outfit by outfit basis. It's literally one producer at a time and visiting and putting together a program for them. So in terms of preventative or just maintenance, maybe I think is the best way to say this, are you working towards, Joe, of saying, okay, here's kind of our 365 maintenance program where it can help augment with some of your other mineral programs? Is that kind of where we want to start moving versus just focusing on the problem side per se? Because I know we do that in terms of getting it in front of the cows prior to calving, but now I'm kind of looking after calving, and I'm literally looking at this time of year.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah. And, everybody's finally starting to get some rain. That's good for morale, but we are working. So how can we? That's a great point, because we want to be proactive. How can I do it? It's easier to keep them healthy than it is to straighten them out. So yes, we are working to try to be proactive, and like the cow-kept program, like you alluded to earlier, the 60 to 90 day, we'll do that. And that's 15 grams per head, but we've got guys starting to go year round. We put it in at 10 gram and we go to their mineral manufacturer and they put it in.
So just kind of landing the plane on this, Farmatan in and of itself, if I'm kind of understanding everything correctly, it helps augment your existing nutritional program, really kind of keying in. Is that the right way to really kind of describe how Farmatan works? Not to replace an existing mineral program or an existing nutritional program, correct?
That is correct. We do not want to do that. We want to work hand in hand with whoever you're using. If there's a way we can improve your bottom line, please give us a call. In a nutshell, it does enhance what you're feeding.
Joe Knopp with Imogene Ingredients, thank you so much for the time and coming on the program. Now, if you have any questions about Farmatan or how it may work on your operation, you can give Joe or the Pauls a call at 515-745-1639 or check out farmatanusa.com. And if you can't catch the crew at Farmatan, no problem. Get a hold of Beck and I, and we will make sure that we personally get you in contact with a rep near you. It is time for a commercial break. You're listening to the Ranch It Up radio show. Crew, keep it parked. Attention cattle producers. Boost your herd's trace mineral status with Axiota Animal Health's Multi-Min 90. This injectable solution delivers essential trace minerals known to support cattle health and reproduction. Don't settle for less when it comes to your herd health. Trust Axiota Animal Health to keep your cattle in prime condition. Visit your local supplier or veterinarian to learn more about Multi-Min 90. Multi-Min 90, because healthy cattle mean a healthy bottom line. Gelbvieh and Balancer producers, seed stock and commercial, add genetic technology from the American Gelbvieh Association. They provide genetic tools to both seed stock and commercial producers. From being a part of the world's largest genetic evaluation and providing some of the most accurate EPDs in the industry to offering a wide variety of DNA tests, the AGA delivers its members and customers tools for success within the beef industry. Head to gelbvieh.org for more information from the American Gelbvieh Association. Looking for the best way to raise beef, whether on pasture, crop residue, or in a dry lot? Choose Westway Feed Products. Westway Feed Products boost forage utilization, efficiency, and sustainability. Find your nearest rep by calling 800-800-7517 or visit westwayfeed.com. Stay connected with the crew from Westway Feed Products on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Call 800-800-7517 or go to westwayfeed.com today. Welcome back to the Ranch It Up radio show. That time of the program, we check in with Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, recapping the markets from last week. Maybe some insight of what may be happening in the future. So, Kirk, numbers-wise, what's going on?
Well, good morning, Tigger, and all your listeners out there. As of Friday, May 30th, August feeder futures closed the week at $298.67.5. That's down $1.82.5 on the week. The CME feeder index was up $3.84 at $299.30. That left the basis at a positive 62.5 cents versus August futures. So futures and cash are very closely tied as we close that Friday. June live cattle closed the week at 215.47.5. That's down 42.5 cents on the week, with cash trading 223 to 225 in the south and 234 to 237 in the north. That all happened late on Friday and was not represented in the 5-area weighted average, which was down 98 cents at 228.53 on Thursday. That left the basis at a positive $13.05, with futures very much lagging the cash market as June moves into expiration. Choice boxes were up $5.37 at 366.34. The weekly slaughter was very light, 477,000 head. Some of that was the holiday shortened kill, but that is still historically small at 93,000 head less than the last week and 62,000 head less than the same week last year. Dress weights were down 2 pounds at 872 pounds. That's 21 pounds higher than this week last year. The combination of lighter slaughter and higher weights has left the yearly production at 2.9% less than the same week last year. So production is still lagging. To wrap this up, September corn closed the week at $4.23. That's down 14 cents on the week. The funds continue to press prices lower as the moisture subsides, as a prevent plant acre discussion becomes less prevalent in the market.
Now, Kirk, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but just listen up to this one. In last week, Friday, at Erhardt Livestock in Erhardt, South Dakota, I'm going to tell you what some pairs sold for. Now, here we are. We're moved into a new month. This was the end of May. Here's 40 head of red first calf heifer pairs. They sold for $4,900. Yeah, almost $5,000. Here's another group from Erhardt, South Dakota. These were from Eureka, actually. There was 17, another set of 17 red first calf heifer pairs. They were weighing right around 1130, by the way. They brought $4,875. Here was the cheap ones. The cheap ones, Kirk. They were broken mouth cows. They were pairs. They were weighing just a tick under $1,400. Broken mouth pairs sold for $3,100 for pairs. So how many do you need, Kirk? I'll put together a potload for you.
I think I'll just hold tight for the time being. Thank you very much, Tigger.
Wow. Yeah, exceptional prices.
No doubt about that. Very, very good prices. We did have, I saw advertised here, we'd had some short-term, probably a year or two type of pairs that went for $26, $27. I don't need to buy any cows. I've got plenty for the grass I got, but that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
that puts
kidding.
You needing about $700 for that cow.
Exactly right. Well, get the checkbook out, Kirk.
It's only money, Tigger.
Hey, all. Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com. Coming up this Wednesday, June 11th, we have a online hay and straw auction. Bidding opens at just $1. No reserves. All lots will sell. Featured lots include 120 large round straw bales. It's 5x6, net wrapped, clean, no weeds. 1,450 pounds from Cass Auction in Carlton, Missouri. 44 large round alfalfa bales selling on 3 separate lots. It's 5x6 poly twine from Cobb's Auctions in David City, Nebraska. 40 large round alfalfa grass mix bales selling on 3 separate lots. 5x6 poly twine from Cobb's Auction. And 756, that's a full semi-truckload of small square alfalfa bales. It's in 21 bale bundles. There's 36 bundles total. The bundles are 4 foot by 7 foot 3 inches. This is second cutting 2024 alfalfa from Frank Farms in Avon, South Dakota. And 300 small square prairie hay bales selling on 3 100 bale lots. This is wire tie, shredded. It's nice and bright from C&H Auction in Hillsboro, Kansas. Bidding is currently live, but all lots will sell the morning of Wednesday, June 11th at 10 a.m. Central Time. You got hay to sell? Online hay auctions every Wednesday on LivestockMarket.com and AuctionTime.com.
What's the true impact of pre-breeding nutrition? Hey, I'm Shay Wanner, and I host the Casual Cattle Conversations podcast. Here's what a few experts from Westway Feed Products have to share about the topic.
There's been enough research today to know that when cows are in a deficient state, protein-wise, energy-wise, in calves that are in their first and second gestation period, we can actually have a reproductive impact on those heifers out of those cows where they don't breed back near as good when they were in utero and they had a protein deficiency. Same thing with steer mates, right? Steer mates to those heifers when taken to a feed yard and finished out, they didn't grade as good as the ones that had proper nutrition during the wintertime. And so we know there's impacts on the calf itself when that calf is in utero, when the nutrition is not right for the cow.
Listen to the full story by searching for Casual Cattle Conversations on your favorite podcast player. Happy ranching, folks.
I tip my hat to you, from one legend to another.
And before we say fare thee well, we want to give a big old tip of the hat and a shout out to all of you who unfortunately have been affected by the wildfires, who have been affected by tornadoes, who have been affected by flood. And you know what? If you've got friends in those areas, just reach out to make sure that they're doing okay. Fire them a text. They may not be in that infected area, but just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I saw this on the news that there's fires in the north, there's tornadoes in the south, there's floods in the east, there's droughts in the west. Drop a line to those friends. I guarantee you they're going to appreciate it. And now that's going to wrap it up for today. A big thanks goes out to our crew, Joe Knopp with Farmatan, Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, Mark Vanzi with LivestockMarket.com, Shay Wanner with Casual Cattle Conversations, the boss lady, Rebecca Wanner AKA BEC, who is under the weather. A big thanks goes out to our partners, RanchChannel.com, Wolf Cattle, Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Transova Genetics, Axiota Animal Health, bringing us Multimin and Lactopro, the American Gelbvieh Association, Imogene Ingredients, who brings us Farmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, the Tri-State Livestock News, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. And crew, so glad y'all came with us one more time as we ranch it up. Be sure to follow and like us on Facebook at Ranch It Up Show. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. And you can call and text 24/7. That phone number is 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420. Spread the good word and join us again next week, where it's always Tigger and Beck approved. Stay ranchy and ranch it up.